Welcome to Rhema Words of Faith, Daily Bread Devotionals. Today we're diving into Hebrews 12, 1-2, which says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders, and the sin that so easily entangles. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith." This is a powerful passage that encourages us to keep running the race of faith with endurance. Let's talk about what it means to throw off everything that hinders. Think of a runner preparing for a race. They don't wear heavy clothes or carry extra baggage because that would slow them down. Spiritually, we often carry unnecessary burdens that weigh us down. God is inviting us to lay those things aside. It's not always easy to let go, especially when we've been holding on for so long. But imagine how much lighter and freer you'd feel without that emotional or spiritual baggage. Letting go doesn't mean we ignore our struggles. It means we trust God to carry them so we can run our race with freedom. The verse also warns about the sin that so easily entangles. Sin isn't just about breaking rules. It's anything that pulls us away from God's purpose for our lives. It's like trying to run with shoelaces tied together. You're bound to trip and fall. What's interesting is that sin often starts subtly. It could be small compromises, unchecked attitudes, or habits that seem harmless at first but slowly entangle us. Recognizing these things isn't about feeling condemned. It's about becoming aware so we can take action. God's grace is always available to help us untangle and get back on track. Now let's focus on the phrase, "Run with perseverance the race marked out for us." Notice it says, "marked out for us." That means your race is unique. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparison, looking at someone else's journey and feeling inadequate. But God didn't design your race to be like anyone else's. Your path, your struggles, your victories, they're all part of a race that's custom-made for you. Perseverance isn't about never getting tired or discouraged. It's about refusing to quit even when it's hard. It's okay to stumble or slow down. What matters is that you keep moving forward. So how do we stay motivated when the race feels overwhelming? The answer is in verse 2. Fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. Imagine running a marathon and keeping your eyes locked on the finish line. That's what Jesus represents for us. He's not just an example. He's the source of our strength. He started this race of faith, and He's the one who will complete it in us. When we focus on our problems, they grow bigger. But when we fix our eyes on Jesus, we're reminded of His power, His love, and His promises. He's already won the victory, and because of Him, so can we. When we talk about fixing our eyes on Jesus, it's more than just a passing glance. It means anchoring our focus, attention, and hearts on Him daily. Think about driving a car. Wherever your eyes go, the car follows. If you're constantly distracted, you'll veer off course. The same applies to our faith. Life throws distractions at us, worries about the future, pressures from work, struggles in relationships. But when we intentionally fix our eyes on Jesus, He helps us stay on course. This doesn't mean the distractions disappear, but it does mean we gain clarity, peace, and purpose, even in the midst of chaos. Jesus becomes our compass, guiding us through every twist and turn. The verse describes Jesus as the pioneer and perfecter of faith. A pioneer is someone who goes first, blazing a trail for others to follow. Jesus didn't just teach about faith, He lived it. He faced rejection, betrayal, suffering, and even death. Yet He never wavered, because His trust in the Father was unshakable. That's the kind of faith He invites us to embrace. And the beauty of it is that He's not just the pioneer, He's also the perfecter. This means He's actively working in us to grow and strengthen our faith. You don't have to have perfect faith to start the race. Jesus perfects it as you walk with Him. Hebrews 12:2 goes on to say that, "For the joy set before him endured the cross." Have you ever wondered what that joy was? It was the countless lives that would be redeemed because of his sacrifice. Jesus endured unimaginable pain, not because he enjoyed suffering, but because he saw the bigger picture. That's a lesson for us. When life feels unbearable, remember there's a purpose beyond the pain. Trials aren't the end of your story. They're often the pathway to growth, transformation, and deeper intimacy with God. Joy doesn't always come from circumstances. It comes from knowing God is at work, even when we can't see it. Another key word in this passage is endure. Endurance is the ability to keep going when you're tired, discouraged, or facing setbacks. Spiritually, endurance means holding on to faith even when prayers seem unanswered, when doors close, or when life feels overwhelming. But here's the good news. You're not running on your own strength. God promises to renew your strength when you feel weak. Every step you take in faith, no matter how small, is a victory. Finally, let's not overlook the importance of community. Hebrews 12:1 reminds us that we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. You're not running this race alone. The stories of believers who've gone before us are there to inspire and encourage, but so are the people around you right now. Find your faith community, people who will cheer you on, pray for you, and remind you of God's promises when you forget. Isolation can be one of the enemy's greatest tools, making us feel like we're the only ones struggling. But when we're connected to others, we realize that faith is not just personal, it's communal. As we continue to unpack Hebrews 12:1-2, let's revisit the phrase, "throw off everything that hinders." Notice it doesn't just say to throw off sin, it includes anything that hinders. Sometimes it's not blatant sin, holding us back. It's distractions, unhealthy habits, or even good things that aren't God's best for us. Maybe it's comparison, fear of failure, or the weight of other people's expectations. These things can subtly slow us down spiritually. Imagine running a marathon with a backpack full of bricks. You could still move forward, but it would be exhausting. Freedom comes when you lay those weights down. Ask God today, what am I carrying that you never asked me to? Let's talk about perseverance again because it's central to this passage. Perseverance isn't passive, it's active and determined. It's waking up on the days you don't feel strong and choosing to trust God anyway. It's reading His Word when you'd rather distract yourself with something easier. But here's the truth. Every time you choose to persevere, even in small ways, your faith muscles grow. Think of it like spiritual resistance training. The very struggles you're facing are opportunities to build endurance. And you're not doing it alone. God's Spirit is empowering you with every step. So don't underestimate the power of simply showing up, praying one more time, believing one more day, and taking one more step forward. Now, why do we keep running this race? What's the ultimate goal? The goal isn't just to survive life or check off religious boxes. It's to know Jesus deeply, to become more like Him, and to finish our race with joy. The reward isn't just in heaven. It's also the transformation happening in you right now. As you keep your eyes on Jesus, you'll notice changes in your heart. More peace, more patience, more love, and a deeper sense of purpose. The struggles you face aren't wasted. God uses them to refine you, shaping you into someone who reflects His light in a dark world. That's the beauty of the race. It's not just about where you're going, but who you're becoming along the way. Reflecting on Jesus' endurance helps us face our own challenges with renewed strength. He didn't just endure the cross, He triumphed over it. His resurrection is proof that suffering doesn't have the final word. When you feel like you're drowning in life's trials, remember that the same power that raised Jesus from the dead is alive in you. You might feel weak, but God's strength is made perfect in weakness. Your race isn't defined by how fast you run, or how many times you stumble. It's defined by your faithfulness to keep getting up, to keep trusting, and to keep pressing on. Victory isn't about perfection. It's about perseverance. As we wrap up today's devotional, I want to encourage you with this. You are not running alone. God is with you every step of the way, strengthening you and perfecting your faith. So if you're feeling weary, fix your eyes on Jesus, the one who started this good work in you and will carry it to completion. He's your strength when you're weak, your guide when you're lost, and your hope when life feels overwhelming. And if this message encouraged you today, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need this reminder. We'd also love to hear from you in the comments. What spoke to your heart today? Let's keep running this race together with our eyes fixed on Jesus. God bless.